Good morning, or rather good afternoon to everybody. It is our pleasure to meet you again in our Q1 unaudited interim report presentation. My name is Aavo Kärmas. I am a CEO of Investorkõne.
Hi, good morning from my side as well. Veiko Räim, CFO of Investorkõne.
So if you allow us, we firstly go through our deck here, and we are ready to take all the questions you may have, so you can post them here during a presentation. But of course, you are more than welcome to ask any question you may have and send it to investor@investorkõne.ee. So we certainly will reply all the questions and then all the thoughts. So let's kick it off then, and as usual we start from changes in the environment which have a major impact on our business. So first topic is power prices. Here we have brought out the price changes compared to Q1 last year. So as you can see, the prices have dropped most of all the countries around the Baltic Sea, but that actually variety of the drop is different, starting from almost 10% in the Baltics, ending up with -63% in Finland. And there are several reasons for lower prices. We have brought out here, for instance, increased wind and hydropower generation in Q1. Also, there was a mild winter, which also led to a higher hydropower reservoirs fulfillment during the Q1, but last but not least, also decrease of natural gas prices and CO2 prices as well. And as of the end of Q1, the gas reservoirs were filled up to 60% in the whole European Union. They say or predict that by the end of July, this will come up to even to 89%. So that this is all those three conditions or three factors were the most important to the power price decrease in the countries. Second thing, what we show you second time already is power forecast, power prices forecast across our home markets. So this is not our inside view. This is a combined view of three different analyst houses. What has changed with February, when we showed last previously, the same graphs, so the prices for 2025, 26 have come lower level, mainly because of decreased gas and CO2 prices and expected lower consumptions for those years. But if we look longer, for forecast, we see that actually the prices will remain on a quite a flat level for years to come. Secondly, regulatory environment. So here we have brought out few of occasions or topics. I will not go through all of them, but just maybe few from Estonia. The most important for our business is that a proposal of waste reform was published, which is currently on the way, and it is all about how to meet the 2025 targets of Estonia for mixed municipal waste, recycle of mixed municipal waste and the packages. So that for us it would mean that our Iru CHP, who is using a municipal waste for producing energy, will most probably start to use more residual municipal waste. This may lead maybe to higher heat prices in the future, but it's, as I said, the proposal is on the way. It's too early to say anything. So we expect that the draft law will be approved by Parliament at the end of this year. The second point from Estonia to bring out is a change of our building code. Mostly the actions to be taken are related to how to proceed or make faster planning procedures for renewable energy to come online. Secondly, from Latvia, to highlight is that there is a new version of climate and energy plan being introduced, which has met kind of heavy critics from different market players, as the plan is considering the national targets are considered only on the basis of a national utility company plans, not taking into account another initiatives on the market. So we closely follow how it goes on its way. And then last but not least, Poland. Poland, as we all know, has been heavily relied on fossil fuels generation, and happy to see that they have also now increased their national target by 2030, so that they expect to reach up to 50% of green generation from consumption. So this is certainly good news for us, but also other market players to push renewable generation and projects in Poland for years to come. And then last but not least, wind conditions. So what can you say? I mean, the Q1 is usually the best wind month, let me put it that way. So it was this year. What we see is that actually in Estonia, the average wind speed was a bit lower compared to 22 and 23. January and February were good windy months, but in the mid-March we saw that actually wind came down, but in Lithuania the conditions were on average level. But still, despite of low wind conditions, we also produced less energy than expected. And availability, this is something which is mostly in our hands. Happy to see that our wind farms availability, both in Estonia and in Lithuania, remained in a good high level. So especially happy, which is not seen on a graph, but especially happy that wind turbines which are on a fleet in Estonia, which are one of the oldest turbines, actually showed more than 97% availability, which is really good and high level. And then secondly, Lithuania, as you can see, our average availability was 96, but if you look back to Q3 and Q4 last year, you see low numbers, which were mainly affected due to Šilutė wind farm low availabilities and problems we had at the time. But now we're happy that together with GE, we have agreed a preparation plan how to bring turbines on a high level again, and then in Q1 Šilutė wind farm availability was actually above our expected level, so well done by our team. CHP and the solar farms availability, nothing special to bring out here, good high level. Now if we move on to our development portfolio, so on that slide we just show once again that our current operational and under construction capacity is slightly above 1.2 gigawatt by the end of 2025, and by the end of 26 we expect to reach a bit more than 1.7 gigawatts capacity, taking into account also our early stage, not early stage, but late stage development projects, sorry. And now if we move on to our projects under construction, so we have 6 wind farms and 3 solar parks under construction, so I will not go through all of them, maybe just main highlights. Happy to say that in April Tolpamaara wind farm is up and running, and then in April Nordex took it to under full availability guarantee. So in order to finalize it, we just need to go through a final grid test. Same goes for Akmenė. We remember this was unfortunate collapse of the turbine last May. So currently all 14 turbines are up and running in Akmenė wind farm, and we are in the process of negotiating with insurance and also with GE accrued costs and losses during a period of time to be covered. Nothing special to highlight at this moment of time. And last but not least, Sopi-Tootsi wind farm and solar farm in Estonia are proceeding well. So in Sopi-Tootsi wind farm, first turbines are already on the constructions. Same goes for Kelmė 1 wind farm in Lithuania, where first turbines are already installed and works are ongoing. And in Kelmė 2 wind farm, we have started already balance of plant construction. So all in all, we're saying that those projects on that slide are moving according to schedule or even faster. So now if we move on to our near-term pipeline, which is mostly altogether slightly above 500 megawatts. So we expect to make investment decision by the end of the year or during the second half. Of course, it all depends on the market conditions and the power prices and customers' ability to sign a long-term PPAs. But we have Seinäjoki PV, which is already ready to make a financial investment decision on our table. So we expect to get the PPAs for that project as soon as possible. So taking all into account, our under construction, operational and near-term pipeline capacity is slightly above 1.77 gigawatts. And now if we move on to our long-term pipeline, so our long-term development portfolio is around 2.5 gigawatts, consisting mostly of onshore wind and solar in Estonia and Latvia, Lithuania and Poland. And to highlight from previous month actually was that we signed an agreement with a Polish company called RES Global, where we acquired a portfolio of 360 megawatt of onshore wind to be installed in Poland in coming years. So we're in early stage development phase at the moment, and we expect that the first turbines can be installed not before 2028. If we move on to our offshore projects, so first take Liivi. Liivi, we have completed most of the studies. The last ones are ongoing. So with coming months, we expect to start to put together our environmental impact assessment report and then present it to a ministry. And then Hiiu wind farm, as we said in February last year, our environmental impact assessment plan was approved by Ministry of Climate Estonia, and now we are working with the state to update the existing maritime planning around the Hiiu seawaters where will be also foreseen areas for offshore wind developments in the future. So all in all, our current portfolio, taking into account also long-term portfolio, has reached up to 6,200 megawatts, which is a very solid, very solid capacity going to be growing in the future. So I will stop here and then give it over to Veiko for elaborating on our financial results. Thank you.
Indeed, thank you, Aavo. So quarter one done and dusted. So what did we achieve? Firstly, starting from the production, so 494 gigawatt hours of power produced, 22% more than last year. Good solid improvement, especially on the back of the new wind farms and solar parks. So plus 131 gigawatt hours coming from there, and indeed this how to build up and roll out these parks in production in the coming quarters is our key variable, both within the development teams as well as the operating teams. So this is extremely important for us this year and the coming quarters. Secondly, the price performance. So we earned 81 euros per megawatt hour for all our production, so combined and summarized. So roughly at the same level as last year, the final quarter. This is 20% below last year's first quarter, so I'll speak more about it, but both lower PPA prices as well as lower market prices were were of importance. And finally, we have brought out here our operating income, EBITDA, and net profit performance as well. Operating income -11%, but EBITDA +3% compared to last year, and net profit +10%. So all of these were to an extent affected also by the sale of our biomass assets, but I'll elaborate on that in the coming slides. So the price performance. I mean, firstly, if we look at our electricity produced, purchased, and sold graph in the top left-hand side, so you can see that actually the picture is quite similar to Q4 2023. Just all the volumes are 20 to 25% higher. So more production, but also more sales to the market, more sales to PPAs, but higher purchases as well. So these volumes are evolving in a progressive manner, in a proportional way. So of course, as I was telling, our power market prices were lower. So this is one feature to bring out. And if you look at the table in the bottom left-hand side, then the price of power sold to the market was 82 euros last year and 77.6 euros per megawatt hour this year, so quite a bit lower. And one feature also that we have brought out here is that actually the discounts in our markets have been growing higher than last year. So for instance, in Lithuania, the wind discount was 15% in the latest quarter, which is 3% more than a year ago. In Estonia, slightly above last year, so 13.5%. So all in all, these will have an impact on all the prices that we sell to the power markets, irrespective of whether we have PPAs or not. Second feature here is the PPA price that in the table, 89.8 euros per megawatt hour last year first quarter, and 75 euros per megawatt hour, which was in the first quarter of this year. And really behind that is certain PPAs that became came into the delivery period at the beginning of this year. These were agreements we signed in 2021 for Finnish and Lithuanian power. So these have brought about the lower average price for the PPAs, and this has also had an impact on our total captured electricity price. And finally, I think the purchases that we've made were for the lower price. So in that sense, the power market, if the prices are lower, we also pay less for the prices for the power that we purchased to cover our PPAs. But the volume of that purchases were compared to last year larger, so that brought about higher purchases in total. In case we look at the operating income, now just the headline numbers going from 77.5 to 68.9 may raise some questions. But one needs to keep in mind that in last year, Q1, we had 20 million euros of operating income coming from the biomass assets that we have been exiting. This year, the size was 8 million euros, so actually minus 12 million euros from the revenue comes from this comparison basis. So without that, actually our revenues will have grown from 57.5 million euros to 60.9 million euros. And behind that really is the higher production, so 125 gigawatt hours of additional production from new wind farms, so the wind energy segment. Solar energy, of course, the first quarter is quite slow for that production device, but still we produce 140% more, 143 to be exact. And as mentioned already on last slide, lower prices captured we're holding our growth factors. Now, if we look at EBITDA, then we earned 42.4 million euros, and actually 3.1 million euros of the difference compared to last year came from the sold assets. So last year we earned a bit from the EBITDA from this both Brocēni, Paide, and Valka, which we have by now exited. This year in the first quarter we also realized 5.5 million euros of profit from Paide and Valka CHP sales. So this all together, if you put this into comparison, helped our EBITDA 3.1 million euros. Now, electricity prices, if we take together both the prices sold and that were lower, and then also the prices of purchases that were also lower, then that together had a minus 7.4 million euro impact to our results, still keeping us back. Whereas the sold and purchased quantities actually balanced each other out, and in net terms actually improved our EBITDA by 7.6 million euros. Finally, I would like to highlight the fixed expenses. So as we grow our portfolio, also have maintenance costs coming online. So this is from the new assets, and then also I'll spend a little moment discussing the operating asset maintenance expenses as well on these slides. If we move on now to segments, so wind energy segment first. So you can see from the top left-hand side that actually 125 gigawatt hours of the new asset increased production from wind specifically then helped us, whereas actually the operating farms produced 25 gigawatt hours less in the recent quarter. So despite the good availability that we had, then actually we had less wind, as I mentioned, in certain parts of the quarter. So altogether the result was lower. That helped us still to, even though we had lower prices, to improve our operating income in total and also increase our EBITDA a bit, plus 1.2 million euros to be exact. Now, in terms of operating expenses per megawatt, there we have witnessed continued growth in the expenses, both the effects of the indexation coming from the agreements with the turbine suppliers. Of course, these will also change in the coming quarters as we have the new parks coming online, which are comparatively cheaper, so per megawatt to operate. So this one will should hold back our growth again, but this will plan to comment in more detail in the coming quarters as these come online. In terms of cogeneration segment, here the impact of sold assets is probably the most visible in the bottom left-hand side in the operating income side. So 20 million last year Q1, 8 million Q1 this year. So really the main impact from there is from the pellet revenues, as our pellet plant was a highly revenue-rich business, but it's actually a low margin business. So together with the revenue, as we have sold it, we actually reduced also variable costs. So impact on the EBITDA, as you can see, is quite a bit lower. In terms of electricity production, Iru produced a bit less than last year due to actually there being a cold winter and our needs to prioritize the heat production. And at the same time, availability-wise, we lost a little bit of production there as well. Whereas actually other assets that produced a little bit in this quarter, Paide and Valka, then these we won't have in the next coming quarters. So this is what we bring out here also comparatively basis, how much of the EBITDA was with the sold assets, how much we did. Finally, the solar segment, as mentioned in Q1, this is quite slow, but regardless, we managed to grow the production by 140%, so to 8.5 gigawatt hours, roughly equally split between Estonia and Poland, so slightly more in Estonia. And while the power prices were realized were lower, then still our revenues increased by 16% and our EBITDA increased by 22% as well. So even though it's from so small bases and small numbers in Q1, so we expect to see bigger production and bigger numbers in Q2. If we turn to investments now, so we're coming off another heavy investment quarter, if I may say so. So actually our production investments are in full swing in Sopi-Tootsi, 64.8 million euros, around 60% of our investments in the recent quarter. Also Sopi-PV, our solar park investment, 17.6 million euros, very sizable in this quarter. And Kelmė 1 and Kelmė 2, these are the ones which are kind of completing slightly later, Kelmė 1 later this year, Kelmė 2 later next year. So these are still picking up. Altogether, we managed to produce operating cash flow in the first quarter in a reasonable amounts, but of course the investments are so sizable that we need to engage also additional loans. So altogether, financing cash flow then helped us to finance the investment source. In terms of net profits, earnings per share, so we increased this by about 3 million euros. Net financial costs, while our debt levels are higher, then of course the interest expense is higher as well. But as we still haven't taken into usage the parks in all of them, or most of them which are under construction, then actually we still capitalize around 99% of the interest expense in the recent quarter. So this doesn't really affect our net profit yet, but as these are becoming online, then these will be also more realizing into our P&L as well as interest costs. Finally, I think nothing more to mention from here. Sale of Paide and Valka CHP, probably the biggest driver of our net profit increase compared to last year. In terms of leverage, we expect it to be on a higher level compared to the year end, and so we are. So we are at 4.4 times net debt to EBITDA at the end of the last quarter. We have been increasing our debt outstanding a little bit. Our average interest rates have remained roughly unchanged, so still around 30% of the swaps of the interest rate we have done for our debt portfolio, and we haven't added to these. And we also have currently unutilized more than 300 million euros of capacity to fund our investments in the next quarter. So all well on plan. In terms of returns numbers, of course, they are slightly held back by the fact that we have a lot of construction in progress, which still doesn't produce any revenues and net profits. So this we have to improve in the coming quarters as the production comes online. Final return on equity roughly stable next quarter. Maybe the final bit from me in terms of our electricity price risk management. So we have produced in the recent quarter 494 gigawatt hours of power. So this was roughly about 90 gigawatt hours less than we expected, a little bit more even. And essentially that has meant that we have had slightly again higher PPA level that we would have liked, but we have addressed that by buying back around 16.5 gigawatt hours of power purchase agreements for Q2 and Q3 in Finland. We can do more. And finally, also by swapping our volumes of PPA from Lithuania to Estonia, where our PPA levels were lower, so just to address the potential risk between the two price regions. So essentially, we remain active in our portfolio management. We seek to deliver the best results we can. And also in terms of production, we currently expect about 2.1 terawatt hours of production for the full year. As you can see, especially in the second half of the year, it is vital that we get our under construction wind farms operational and fast and delivering our megawatt hours and gigawatt hours. So this remains the management focus and the team's focus for this year. And maybe final bit, we haven't added, it comes out from the report as well, but we haven't added long-term PPAs in the latest quarter, so we have focused on short-term PPA portfolio management. This is all I had to say. So next, over to Paul.
Yes, thank you very much, Veiko. Sorry. Before closing or wrapping up the presentation, so here is notice that on 14th of May, takes place our annual general meeting in Tallinn at 1 p.m. in Fotografiska. So all of you are more than welcome to participate, and you can find the meeting agenda and then the topics to be discussed or decided in a meeting on our website enefitgreen.ee. But yeah, summing up first quarter, so it was a busy quarter as usually. So happy to say that our power generation grew more than 20% compared to last year. So our focus still remains on growing our pipeline, developing our pipeline. But at the same time, it's also important, and then as Veiko said, all the focus of our team is on the construction projects, which we expect to be delivered or become operational this year. So we do whatever we can or give our maximum to deliver every megawatt hour we have expected, or even more. So saying that, I'd like to say thank you for listening, and we ready to take your questions. I already can see that there are a few already arrived. Maybe they go.
So the question reads as congrats on much improved profitability in Q1 2024 versus Q4 2023. Thank you. Could you please share some color on how capex price evolved in 2024, any easing witnessed? Today we haven't seen much easing yet. I think the solar capex remained very competitive at the end of last year when we made our final investment decisions for our Latvian projects. We are looking around this year to other solar parks, where can we do more and how to make it the most efficient in terms of capex. But there, I think that we haven't really witnessed also the spike very much. It has returned from the highs. In terms of wind capex, we still haven't seen a retreat from the high euros per megawatt in terms of investment. So I think there we keep on working with our manufacturing partners in terms of the wind turbines to see what can be done, how to make it even more efficient. But I think there the pressure we haven't seen easing yet. So,
Thank you. Would it be logical to assume more deals like the one with Rest Global, especially in Poland? It seems like a bit of departure from previous strategy to develop everything from scratch yourself. The answer is yes. Of course, we are ready to invest to new projects in different development phases. But as a note that we have not changed our development strategy, it still remains as we have said it before. So that yes, we are developing projects from scratch ourselves. But of course, we are always ready to look for projects in different development stages to be invested. We are not looking for a turnkey projects. And yeah, I mean, Poland is certainly one of our core markets. As I said also in the beginning, that it's really good to see that also the Polish government has increased or put up the national climate target, and also taking into account the power prices outlook in Poland. It certainly remains very attractive market for us.
Yeah, here and further, what is and will be considered a new wind solar? Is it 1 or 2 or more years old? So in reality, we have here considered new solar and wind, new wind as we brought them out specifically. The wind farms that we have completed from the beginning of last year, i.e. Saarbrück 2, Purtse, etc. And we will continue keeping them as a separate bucket as long as we see that this adds value to the investors. So this is maybe how to approach this. That there is a certain amount of new assets that have come online compared to assets that maybe now balance sheet is already 10 years old. Right? They have different characteristics and different return profiles. So could you please indicate if equity IRR on projects under development is still in low teens in general? Well, yeah, in terms of our expectations, we have communicated out in our annual report as well that the cost of capital, if you take weighted average cost of capitals, then they are around between 7 and 9%, depending on assets, maybe even 8 and 9%. So indeed, we expect to realize already unlevered returns that are higher than that. Of course, these are, and then equity returns being higher than that. Of course, the critical bit is that what is the timeline of these assets coming online? What are the projections for the power prices? These are for 30 years. We are making prognosis, but of course there is a lot of uncertainty about them. But in total, if you take the portfolio, then we still expect to earn in double-digit. As leverage is growing and pipeline is pretty substantial, do you see any need for additional equity over the next 2-3 years? Our first focus is on rolling out the existing under construction assets, bringing this EBITDA online, and then seeing that what is the optimal structure forward. We have the capability to engage additional equity if there is a story to be told, if there's a new developments that we can undertake. For instance, the offshore is something that we haven't yet started to finance. We are still preparing for these starts. So I think it will depend on the growth plans and the growth ambition. But the first ambition is indeed to bring the existing under construction assets online, and then basically keep on developing it either in a natural pace, which is slower, or engage additional new capital, which can increase the growth trajectory of the company.
Okay, has the competitive landscape changed much? Thanks. Nothing special to bring out, honestly. I mean, if one needs to look on market by market. So, I mean, if you take, for instance, in Estonia, we see that there are number of competitors, with a number of projects currently in different planning phases. So that everybody is preparing the projects to reach FID in coming years. We see in Latvia that actually the onshore wind is picking up. We have already witnessed the first national state forestry auctions for land plots suitable for onshore wind. In Lithuania, still a lot of onshore wind projects are on the way to come online. Also solar. What we have recognized that say around 1 or 1.5 years ago, a lot of grid capacity was booked by different companies, but that now we see that actually some of the projects are coming on sale. So that, as I said, answering one of the previous questions, that of course we are also ready to investigate the new business opportunities. So basically the market is busy, so the opportunities are there. So for us, as we have said, we expect to deliver what we have promised. So I think that yeah, this is all. Thanks very much once again. So anytime you want to ask anything, just write us an email, investor@enefitgreen.ee, and we will answer shortly.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.